Hey there, who is ready to learn about colors? I have put a presentation together for you with an overview of colors and some vocabulary. I hope it gives you an understanding of what colors are and how you can apply them. However, I don't want you to feel like it's overwhelming information, so just cruise along. Don't worry too much because the idea is just so you have a background, and then when you're applying colors, you kind of like understand a little bit of what's going on. But I don't want you to feel like you have to memorize any of this. It's just really to give you an idea. So, understanding the color wheel. We have, you probably have seen the color wheel, which is this first one here. And in the wheel, you're going to see the primary colors. And what are primary colors? Those are colors that cannot be made by mixing any other colors. The secondary colors are the colors that are mixed by using the primary. So you have here yellow and blue, it's going to mix into green. Yellow and red into orange, red and blue into violet. Now you have warm colors, which is one half of the wheel, and those are, colors that give you a warm feel. Then you have the cool colors, which are the opposite colors to the warm colors, and those will give you a more relaxing feel. So it's cool. Like the warm colors are usually associated with activity and they're more energetic. The cool colors are more calm. So you have to keep that in mind a little bit when you're trying to create a mood with a painting. Then we have complementary colors. Those are the colors that are opposite to the other one in the wheel. So here you have, for instance, the yellow and purple, blue to orange, green to red, but that goes with any of the in-between colors as well. So you just have an idea that it's the color that is opposite to the other one. Those are complementary colors. We have some possible color schemes that you're going to see some combinations when you're trying to create a composition using colors, and when you're planning, you can use such schemes. Monochromatic, basically, they're going to use the same color using a variation, adding white or black, but you don't mix with anything else. Analogous colors are colors that are very close to each other in the wheel. So they have harmony because they don't really, they're not too far to create opposition. You have complementary colors, which are the exactly opposite in the wheel. And those are hard to use together in a composition. But if you master them, they create some really cool effect. Split complementary, triad, tetrad, and square. Anyway, those are combinations that you can explore, but you don't have to really get into that right now. So analogous colors, here I have some highlighted options just so you can feel how they are. So you see here are variations of red, red, orange, 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 yellow, then variations to green, blue, and towards violet. On this side, you can see some combinations, and you can have access to these anytime you want. So you can, go back to it for reference, but it's just to get a feel. Remember, I don't want you to memorize any of this. It's just to kind of like get the seed inside your brain. Hue, tint, tone, and shade. Those are important things to understand as well, because those are going to make a difference when you're mixing colors. So hue basically is the pure color. It's the extreme of the wheel when you're, I'm going to show you a tool after, but hue is the pure color. A tint is going to be a variation when you add white to it, and a tone is going to be a variation when you're toning it down. So you're basically taking the saturation away, and to desaturate a color, you're going to add white and black. So basically you're going to move towards gray instead of having the pure hue. And the shade is the color with black. So saturation, I wanted you to have a look at some photos These are movie color schemes, and you can see that they create different emotions. So a highly saturated movie here, you see that it's very vibrant, it's probably exciting, there's a lot going on, very emotional. Then when you take the saturation down, it's a more calming, it probably has like a slower pace, and there's not so much going on. And a very desaturated, it's almost gray, has very light tints to it. It's probably a very mellow and sometimes dark in a sense that is like depressing. A gray is a very depressing color, so I avoid grays at all costs, but it is also very calming if you're not a depressive kind of person. So saturation and value. Here you have the colors, and then you have the value is the strength of the color, and you can compare to gray, just so you see some colors have like a more intensity as value. And you can make a study of values on your, pre-doing your painting, you can just do a study with burnt sienna. It's very common that people do that, just to study the value of the painting, so you have the right transition from dark to light. But I completely avoid that. I go right for the colors. I like their vibrancy, and it's something that I wouldn't go in that direction, but it's up to you. Here is the variation of a dark saturated color and a light unsaturated color. And here's how it goes on the color scheme. I just wanted you to see how you can transition from very bright hue to a desaturated hue by adding black and white. So here's the saturation line, and here's the value line. And with that, you can create a very different effect. So anyway, don't put too much thinking on this. I want you to, when you're creating your piece, I want it to come out naturally. I never actually plan my colors. I just go for them. And if I have to fix something, then I try to go with the, the concept, but, it's more about the feeling. So this is a very useful studio tool. That's what I was telling you before. And you can buy this wheel at Michael's, Hobby Lobby, anywhere. And here's how, it's a scheme of that wheel, but this that you buy, the tool that you buy, you can actually turn, and then you can see combinations of, complementary colors, the triad, and all of this. So it is interesting tool to have. I have it. I never use it for reference, but it's great for teaching when I have students, they're having a hard time understanding the colors. So you may get this tool just to play with and understand a little bit more. So let's look at some examples, right? Because we learn about this, and now we can actually see how it applies to serious pieces of art. Here's very famous Pierre Mondrian, and I'm going to show you guys now the use of primary colors. This one, very clear, nothing to talk about this, it's just right there. Another example on Picasso, it's going with the primary colors, not moving away from your blue, red, and yellow, except for the black that he highlights everything with it. The Mark Rothko, he was considered a colorist, so most of his works are based on simple combinations of colors, and this is a primary color combination. Now we are talking about complementary colors, and let me see if I can move my little window here so you can actually see the reference that I have on the top. So these complementary colors, can you see how it goes with the color schemes here? So I just want you to have an idea how primary color, let's go back to those. Oh, can go back, Yes, I can go back. You can see that the primary are very vibrant because they're not desaturated. They're just like the full-on base colors, the base hues. And when you get to complementary colors, it's a slightly softer. This one, except, Picasso is always bold, but it feels that way because he does have primary here, but he's using the primary with the complementary. So you see like the red's a primary color, and he's using the green like in very strong hues. Now, this is a nice way of having a softer complementary color combination. Monet, of course, he's always very calming. Also has to do with the subject that he uses, but you can see that the blue goes with some oranges here, and then you have the green right near the red, and it's still, like it's very, the combination just runs smoothly because, the colors are exact complementaries. Now, analogous colors, that's where you really get a calming feel because, there's nothing to oppose to. So here, this Van Gogh piece is on the cool colors. It doesn't go much beyond this blue-green combination. Then you have this one is a warmer one, but even though it's warm, it's still very soft because it doesn't go beyond the analogous color, so it stays in a very small cut of the pie in the wheel. This one as well, it's almost monochromatic. It's such close analogous colors that is almost monochromatic. So we also have the option of creating pieces that are very warm or very cool. So the row on top talks about warm colors. So the whole thing is based on warm colors, and you can see that it's exciting. You almost want to see, like, what's going on there. You want to understand the, the story behind. And then you have the cool colors, which are more contemplative. You look at them and it's kind of like, it makes you want to sit back and just enjoy, contemplate. And then we go to high and low intensity colors, and that's where we're going to use saturation like I showed you before. You have the value and saturation. So the row on top are high on value and saturation, so it stays on this area here. And the one underneath is a low intensity, so it moves towards this area where you have less saturation and less value. So now, how do you choose your colors and how do you mix them? I have used a couple of books here, so I'm going to use references because I do have like a whole library of art books here, and I use them for reference all the time. So I figured like this, and I just wanted you to read this part because I think it's very good. So most artists learn about color by discovering how it works in practice. That's my case. I never quite study them. I practice and I see how the color mixes, and I just see if I like the results or not. So painting is a constant process of individual experimentation and discovery. And you will see, if you're like me, you will watch every art show you can possibly do, and you start observing that each artist has a special color scheme. I could tell El Greco, he, Spanish painter, I could tell his artwork by miles away just because, his color scheme was so particular. So you will notice that, like, you will find yourself a color scheme that you like too. So anyway, you will explore, excuse me, but it is helpful to look at some basic theory just so you have something, to relate to. And that's why I gave you all this presentation. Now, this is kind of like a cheat book. So I'm going to leave some references for you if you want to actually buy the book that I'm going to show you the combinations. But here you can see like an example with a permanent rose. So if you thin it down, just, using a solvent, it's going to be in a transparent manner. So your color is going to dilute until it's almost transparent. Now, if you add white, you're going to get a similar color, but it's going to be opaque, especially if you use titanium white. There are some colors there that are more opaque than others by nature, but mostly you're going to use titanium white, and that's an opaque color. So when you mix titanium white to your color, you're going to get shades into an opaque manner. So, and if you add touches of black, then you go into the shading to black. So they give you this idea of like a starter palette, and that's how you can mix most colors by using, because these are very close to the primaries. However, I don't use this palette myself. I like some more vibrant colors, but anyway, this is their recommendation. So if you want to get the book and kind of like go through all this mixing that I'm going to show you, you could use that combination. So here, just so you have an idea how color can be very intense if you want to really go deep into it. Like I had friends at art school that just like went crazy and they wouldn't use black because black's not meant to be a color, and they got all like tied up into concept of colors. And I was like, oh my God, dude, you know, just like enjoy yourself painting. Don't worry so much about the concept. But understanding a little bit how it functions will help you in practice. So here, for instance, if you get French ultramarine and you mix with yellow ochre, you're going to get these variations, which are great variations for ocean hues. So here it gives you like a percentage of how much it was mixed. Like I would never be that anal, so you know that wouldn't be me, but you know, you might be that kind of person. My husband, he measures everything when he's pouring us a drink and when he's cooking, and I just go like, eh. So it's really like a very personal way of doing things. Now let me move myself to this side because all the images are going to be here. So you have like French with Viridian. I really like this green. I always have this on my colors. So you can see you get like similar colors depending, you know, like for instance, this one is very close to this one here, and you're using a green to mix instead of a yellow with the same blue. So that's where I tell you that a lot of it has to do with experimentation. So I hope that at one point you can be like me, that you're going to look at your colors and you can kind of like break them down in your head. Like, you know, it's missing, it's not warm enough. So, you know, you have to add more yellow to it. Or there you go, like, you know, it should be cooler. So you add a little bit more blue, you know. By mixing, you're going to get better at it. So I'm just kind of like going to go through this quite fast because I don't want you to think that you have to do this like crazy. But see, so you have many options of mixing. So blue with yellow, they're actually not going towards green. This is like just a variation of blue. You can see the white, like that rose that we had in the beginning. So it's going to be an opaque variation. Blue and red, even though they go towards the violet, it also turns into quite black. Basically, all the colors, if you mix them all together, they're going to turn like a grayish brown. So that's quite an important reason why you should understand the color wheel, because the more you mix opposite colors from the wheel, the more you're going to get towards the brown grayish thing. So if you mix the closer complement, like the analogous colors, they're close together in the wheel, they're going to give nice variations, but they're not going to go towards like a grayish brown. So here, options of mixing yellow. So these are creating browns. Mixing red, you can see all these possible variations. You have pink. I love pink, and I use a lot of this rose. I use a permanent rose that is beautiful. Then you have options to mix orange. So you can see, like, if you get like a cadmium, I can't pronounce this word, but anyway, it's actually very toxic. So you should avoid the serious original mineral. You can go with the hues because they're fake and they're not as toxic. So anyway, those are the base ones that are going to give you the most orange, like in the intensity. Then these are going to get like different variations. So green, you know, you can get the traditional blue and yellow to get to your green, or you can mix like some very strange colors like Payne's gray, which is a bluish gray. and with lemon yellow, which is a bluish yellow, and it's going to get you this green. But anyway, not going to get into this detail. So you can get like dark greens by, you know, even like mixing black with yellow, because the black's not pure black. It's going to give you like a greenish tint. Now here's just a gallery of useful greens, because believe it or not, you use a lot of greens, especially if you're going to paint nature. And it's going to create a much more interesting painting if you have variations of color. Some people will find it, will stay in their comfort zone, and they're going to use like 3 colors, and they're going to stick to them because, you know, it's safer to make it work if you have a smaller palette. But it creates a much more interesting piece if you venture into adding more variations between the colors. Reason why I actually mix my colors on the canvas. I don't go through the whole process, you know, of getting the palette knife and just mixing on the palette and coming up with the right color and then putting it on my canvas. I put the colors there and I mix them all together, and that gives like very cool transitions. So mixing violet and brown. You can see here that it's very easy to get to brown colors because, you know, all you have to do is use complementary colors. It's going to go towards brown. So this is using the primaries, and going back, this is using complementary. Gray, nice variations of gray. And this is the book that I mentioned that I kind of like got all this cheat mixing for you. And even though I have this book and it's so old, it's yellow, like the pages are really yellow, I never use it because, you know, colors are my thing. You know, it's natural for me. It's very easy. My brain just see colors, you know, like I look at the skin and I can say, okay, this is a combination of green. Yes, we have a lot of green in our skin, and, you know, like a little bit of yellow, some brown, a lot of white. But anyway, like my brain just like, I can kind of like break down what colors are in something to get somewhere. But some people, I understand that, you know, it's not everyone's skills. So if you want to use a cheat color book, this is the one I would recommend. Totally worth it. And well, that's the presentation for colors. Now you can do the best exercise that, you know, everyone starts with as a color exercise, is going to do your color wheel. So you get your, you know, basic colors, the blue, yellow, and red, and you try to create the colors in between, and then create in between colors with the in between colors until, you know, like you create a whole rainbow of colors. And it's just good to practice how they mix so you get a feel for it. And again, I don't want you to worry about memorizing any of this. I just wanted you to give an overview so you know that there's a lot more to colors than just, you know, mixing them. But it's also very much fun to explore. So what I want you to do is enjoy yourself and just, you know, play with the colors. And if you do have any specific questions, shoot them my way. I'll be happy to answer. Right now, my tip for you is have fun and avoid opposite colors from the wheel because they will turn gray and brown. Well, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much.